Hello everyone, it's Rachel at From Moments to Milestones here today with a new 3-card class kit. This kit features papers from Graphic 45's Hello Pumpkin 12 by 12 paper collection. We're going to make 3 cards. We also use quite a few different Spellbinders dies for this. If you purchase a kit, it'll look like this. You'll get a picture of each card with written instructions, and then at the back we have a list of the supplies we use to create the kits. So we will go ahead and start with this card here, Grateful for You. I will say, let me pull out the inks that I use. We're going to do quite a bit of inking today. So I use Distress Inks by Ranger. So this is Walnut Stain. We have Antique Linen, Fossilized Amber, Crackling Campfire, Victorian Velvet, and Mowed Lawn. So those are the colors we're going to use. I may throw in one time, I think I use a touch of Picked Raspberry. So I'm going to have that on hand as well. So let's go ahead and get out our kit and we will get started. So this one has lots of little die cut pieces that we are going to ink up. So I have a little silicone mat here. Will help me hold on to my die cuts. So I'm just going to lay them out. Let's see, I'm going to put all my green together. I'm not sure that I'm on camera, so let me do that. Okay. Got a couple orange. I'm going to save the brown. Let's see. These are yellow, and then you'll need yellow for these cream flowers as well. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll just start with the green. I'm going to use the Mowed Lawn, and I have a sponge dauber here. And so I'm just going to add color. This one I'm going to come up from the bottom and slowly lighten up like that. Do the same thing on this one. And I may go in and add some brown on that, so I'm going to tuck that over there with the brown. And really we're just trying to get these leaves to have the look of fall, so any color here. You could certainly put orange or yellow onto the green and get that, you know, different colors that we see in fall. So whatever looks good to you. So there's that. And let's see, for my pumpkin, I'm going to keep cleaning my surface because I don't want to get green on something I don't want green on. Okay, and then here I'm going to use Victorian Velvet. And I'm just going to kind of come around the outside. And then there are lines on the die cuts. I'm just going to like that. And this one I'm also going to use brown, so I'm going to wait for the brown till the end. And on these two I'm going to use the Crackling Campfire. So let's see, I'll start with this one. It's pretty. And I think I used a little brown on this one as well. So I'm going to start with the orange, maybe add a little bit more brown in a moment. We'll do all the brown at once. And now we're going to do the Fossilized Amber. So let's see, what did I do with my dauber for that? Let's see if this is it. All right, so I'm going to start at the bottom on this one. the same thing with this one. And then for the flower centers, I'm just gonna lightly kind of go in a circle. I just want to do just the centers. This will be a little harder on these smaller ones, so let me, so, and I'm just going to kind of angle my dauber and just try to get the centers. All right, so that looks good to me. And I'm going to clean this off, and then we are going to get out our brown. Okay, so I'll put all these back out. So we have an acorn, we have a stem, we also have the acorn top, a couple brown leaves, and those two I have green on. All right. So this one, I'm going to use this because I'm going to ink the edges of papers and stuff as well. So instead of the dauber, I'm going to use this larger. So same way, just going to come up from the bottom and lightly, gradually get lighter. Now here, I didn't use that dark brown. I wasn't a big fan. So when I cut your kits, I used a lighter brown. If you like that dark brown, you're certainly just going to go heavy with the ink, and you can get that color. But I didn't want it so dark, so I'm going to do that one a little darker than that because it's a different color to start with, I believe. And then I do want my acorn topper to be darker. So I'll do that, and then I'll just come in on the bottom of the acorn like so. And for our little stem, let's have the actual stem darker, just like that. Purple. This one you have to be careful with because you can rip it. So there's that. And let's see. I'm just going to put a little at the bottom. I don't want to go too dark. I'll do the same on this. And you could go just do the edges as well. Sometimes they start to turn brown just on the edges, so. Just like that. All right, so I think I am happy. Oh, but I'm going to put this, let me clean this off, and then I'll put this away, and we'll do the edges of our papers. That's optional. You don't have to if you don't want to. You could leave it. But I did do the card base, so I'm just going to lightly, it just tones it down a little so it's not so stark when we put everything on it. And these are cream, not white. All right, so there's that. Now on this, you can see we're going to tear that away so that we can see the sentiment. So you can either just, I suggested starting small, kind of follow one of those plaid lines and start small and pull it towards you. You could put it down, maybe make some pencil marks about where you want to start and stop. I'm just going to go for it, and I'm going to pull it towards me so I get that white edge. So like so. Now I still didn't get enough, so I'm going to go a little bit more. So that looks good to me. And so now I'm going to ink the edges of that as well. go ahead and assemble the card. So I will start by putting down that plaid paper. And you just want to make sure you have a nice border all the way around. All right, and then we're just going to layer up. Well, let's do this first. Let's put our, I'm going to put a little bit of brown around this pumpkin as well. And a little heavier on the bottom. There we go. And I am going to add the stem. So I'm going to grab some tweezers, put some glue right there. And it is going to go, there's embossed lines. See how close I can get. And it fits in like so. Oops. So it sticks straight up and the little things go to the side. So it goes just like that. And then for our flowers, you can shape them if you want to. If you have like a flower shaping kit, I have a little mat here. If you wanted to, I have this one here by McGill, and I'm just gonna, let's see, this is the 6mm ball, and I'm gonna lay them face down on my mat, and I'm just gonna round those like so. See, it's like push and pull. So you push down and pull towards you. A little circle in the center, and then you flip them over. This isn't necessary. They have embossed detail on there, which really makes them, gives them a nice real effect. But this will pop them up a little bit more. And then what I'm going to do is layer the smaller one on top of the larger. And then I put prills in the centers. I'm going to offset the petals. I didn't do such a great job of that. Let's try that again. This glue dries quick, so I got to move quick. Okay. There it is. All right, so the flowers are ready to go as well, and then we're gonna put that topper on our acorn. All right. Away for now. Okay, so now we're going to layer up our greenery pieces. So what I did is I tried to kind of separate the green. So I have a green up here, I have a green down here, and then this other green one is right in there. So I showed the press and seal trick today. I can demonstrate that as well. So use Glad press and seal like that you would use in the kitchen. I'm going to put these down because I'm pretty sure that's where I want them. And I like to use like a tape runner, so if I do want to move them, I just have it taped in that one spot and I can easily move it. And then once I'm happy, I can go back and put more glue. So that's one easy way to do it. The other is to use a piece of the Glad press and seal, which I have here, so I will kind of demonstrate that. So now we're just going to lay the other pieces where we want them. So I've got one piece there. Kind of got the pumpkin back in here. There's really no right or wrong. I'm just tucking until I'm happy with what I see. Trying to fill any holes. Tuck that acorn in there. And then I use the flowers to kind of tuck anywhere that I didn't like how it looked. So I think I have the pumpkin behind, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to save the flowers for the end. So I am happy with the way that looks. Okay. And then we'll have a flower there and a flower there. So I'm happy with the placement. And I'm going to take, there's one side that's not sticky and one side that is. I'm going to lay it down over my die cuts. And this piece I've used several times, so you can use it over and over. And then I'm just going to press it down and pick up. I'm not worried about the green because I've already glued those down, but everything else. And I'm going to slowly roll it back. See how it's picking up, and that's okay if it picks up that one already glued down. All right, so then when you flip it over, you've got it just the way you want it. You can move it around however you want to do it. But when you flip it over, now we can see what's exposed. So this is definitely in the background, so I'm going to put some glue on that one. The green one I want glued straight down. And some of these I might leave like the ends with no glue so I could pop them up if I wanted. But really most everything, just to add dimension, you can go and just add one glue dot. I don't know if you can see like this right here. No, not that one. This one is just foam right on the end, and it just gives that look right here as well. Right here, so however you want to do it. But these, I'm just going to go in and add the glue, and I think I have glue on everything except that piece right there. Oops, I missed the mark there. All right, so now I'm going to flip it over and put it right back where I want it, which is right in there. And I'm going to press down, and all that glue, give it time to dry. This dries clear glue by Art Glitter dries very quickly if you don't use a lot, which is really nice. So then I'm going to gently roll it back, and everything's down. Now if something weren't down, I can use this as a hinge. By leaving it here, I could keep moving it and nothing would change. But I glued everything down that I wanted. Okay, and so right here I'm going to cover up that empty spot with a flower. And so like this spot right there, I want that glued down. I'm just going to go in, add some glue behind it, put it down. And then I can put that flower right there, and I have one right there. So there's one flower, and the other. All right. And then I'm going to grab some little glue or some foam squares and put them behind. So I know I left this not glued down. So I'm going to take my tweezers, which I think is the easiest way to do it. And I'm just going to go back there and tuck it in, and then it keeps that edge up, which I like. Backing off. I also want this one popped up, and this one, which I hadn't really glued down, so wasn't very much of that one showing. So put foam on the back of that, like so. And I think that one right there I want popped up. And it just really helps create the illusion that they are kind of laying on each other in different ways. So I glued that one all the way, nope. One right there. Okay. So that looks good. So I put prills in the center. So these are the prills. These are Espresso Yourself is the color. So I'm gonna open those up, put some glue in the centers of my flowers, not a lot, just a little dot. And spoon some on top. And I'm just going to let that sit for a second while the glue grabs it. I don't like to shake it off right away. Let me find something to shake it in. All right, I have a coffee filter, so that's good. And I'm just going to knock off the excess. And there are my flower centers. Now you can play around while the glue is still wet. If you don't like the way they are, you can flatten them out a little. That glue will dry clear. Okay, and I'll put the rest back in here. All right, that card is finished. All right, our next card is this, A Note of Thanks. All the little pieces out here. All right. So we have some coloring to do to start off. So I'm going to put this stuff up here. So you're going to want your pumpkins. We'll start with the pumpkins and the flowers. So you should have 3 little sunflowers, the flower centers, and 4 pumpkins and their stems. Everything else I'm going to set off to the side. So let's start with the sunflowers. We're going to use fossilized amber on those. So I'm just going to cover them completely. All right, those 3. And then for their centers, I'm going to use the brown. Just get those. Where are my tweezers? That will help me hold it down if you need to. So the flower centers are done. You could go ahead and glue those in as well once you might want to let the ink dry a little bit. And then the pumpkin stems are on Post-it, but I think it's going to be easiest to ink them while they're on there. So you don't try to hold on to them. Okay. Put those up here. All right, now for our pumpkins, I'm going to pull out this squash looking piece, and I'm going to use, I'm going to use antique linen on both of them. So this one I'm just going to go around the edges, so slightly. This one too. All right, so this one I'm going to leave as is. And for this one here, I'm going to add a touch of crackling campfire. Now this is a very dark, bold color, so I'm going to try to wipe off as much as I can. And actually, I think I'm just going to pick it up and just add a little to the bottom. All right, just like so. And then while we have the crackling campfire, we're going to do this kind of short pumpkin here. this color is super strong, so I'm trying to not very light hand. And I'm just going to lightly from the bottom around the top and very light as I work my way in. Okay. And I am going to add some brown to these when I'm done, but I'm going to call that good for now. And then this one, we are going to use the Victorian Velvet on. So same thing. Just around the edges and a very light hand in the center. Okay. And this is the one where I thought it needed brightened up just a touch. So I am going to use a little bit of the picked raspberry, so just a little. So put it on my dauber and then just go around the edges, and it kind of brightens it up and pinks it up a little bit more. Okay, so just like that. And then, all right, so we're good with that. We're going to bring in our wheelbarrow pieces. We should have 3 green pieces. And these 2 cream colored pieces. And you do have some greenery. You have a small leaf, a little twirly stem, and a small leaf. So if you want, you can add green to those or just brown, which is, I think what I'm going to do is just the brown. So I'm going to start, I'm going to use the walnut stain. And I am going to ink the edges of everything so it kind of all goes together very lightly. Into the wagon pieces. Now these have a wood detail embossed, so if you want to kind of go over it lightly, it'll kind of bring that up a little bit. Actually, I think I'm gonna try to, almost works better if you just go heavy around the edges. All right, so that's all done, and then I will do the greenery, just darken it up a little. And you could skip it too if you wanted. All right. I'm not going to do anything to the wheel pieces. They're already brown. All right, let me clean this up. I got some brown that to transfer everywhere. Okay. Oh, one last thing. I did ink the edges of this oval with brown and the paper as well. Get a little bit more. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is put this leaf paper down onto the cream card base. All right, And then this oval will go in the center of the card. Okay. All right, now for a wheelbarrow. We're gonna put together, you have these 3 green pieces. So the first piece looks like this. I'm gonna try to bring it up close so we can see what's going on. And right here, there's like 2 embossed lines. There's one here and one there. You can see them. This piece with the rounded side to the left is going to butt up against that line there and go on the bottom, line up with that bottom line. Okay, I'm only going to put glue right here on the bottom because I want to tuck in my pumpkins. So just the thin bead of glue, and then I'm going to lay that down like so, and it should line up here at the top. Comes together like that, but we're just doing it at the bottom so we can tuck in our pumpkins. Okay, and we're going to hold off on this piece as well. For reference, this piece is smooth right here. You can kind of see there's an embossed line that goes right here, and it's smooth and has no wood detail. That piece goes right there, and so then it looks 3D. Okay, like so. But I don't want to glue that down just yet because then I have no room to tuck my pumpkins. So in class I suggested that you could just glue this side, so let's do that. So I'm just going to put a little dot of glue right there, and then I will match it up where it needs to go, like so. So that's how the base of your wheelbarrow goes together. Okay, now let's tuck in our pumpkins. All right. Oh, let's put on their stems. I keep getting ahead of myself. So let's put on, I'm going to set this aside for a moment. Let's put on our stems. So you should have four of these pumpkins and 4 stems. So they do match up. It's just kind of like a puzzle. So this smallest one is going to go right here. And then this one has like a long, and that matches up. So you just match it up there and then fits on there like so. And then let's see. This one's turned this way. You do make it kind of easy that everyone has its own shape. All right, so the stems are on. So we'll bring our card back over. And this one is, we don't need now. We just need these 3 larger pumpkins. And I kind of have them in like this. So the pink one's in the front, like that. And then this one is behind there like that. And then this one is like that. So I'm really happy with how that looks. So I'm just going to go in and flip it over, glue them to each other. All right, so there's my pumpkins. So now you have these 2 cream pieces. So you have this long skinny piece that kind of has a notch cut out at the top and it's rounded at the bottom. That is going to go right over the seam with a notch at the top, and it'll kind of match up that corner right there. Oops, I want it to go all the way to the bottom of that piece. The top's going to be hidden anyway. And then this piece goes across the top here, like so. And these pieces should touch onto the green, and you can glue them on there. So that's kind of a help for placement. So I'm just gonna put a little glue on the back of them. And there they are. All right, so there's that. So now we need to mess with the wheel, which I'm gonna pull out this silicone mat just so that you guys can see what I'm doing better. It's hard to see that brown against the black. So you have this wheel, you have these two long half moon, and you have this little donut. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put the one with these little prongs on the right, and the other one's gonna be over here. And now what you need to do is find this wheel is slightly longer and thicker on one side than it is the other. So when you figure out which side is bigger or wider, you should put it on the right where these prongs are. And so what's gonna happen is those prongs are gonna match right up to the spokes, and it's gonna go on like that. So it's sitting on not just the spokes, but slightly onto, it's not really a wheel, it's not really a shadow, it's making the wheel thick. And so, I don't know, I'm gonna bring it up here and see if you can see that there is an embossed line, and that is where it's supposed to help you with placement. It's hard to see on this dark cardstock, but it's there. And so what I'm going to do is put glue on that tiny little spot. Oops, too much. And on those little prongs. And then this goes on top. Get it where we want it. Alright, so it's going to look like that. And now on this piece, there's also on the outside of this moon shape here is another embossed line, and that is going to help you with placement. So on this one, you're going to put the glue not on the inside of the moon, but on the outside. Okay. And the wheel is going to go on top, and it's going to line up with the outside this time. It's not going to pop out this way, then your wheel won't look right. It needs to go on the inside. And one should pick up where the other leaves off so it looks 3D. Okay? So there's that. And then you have this donut piece. So we're going to put the thickest part on the right side. I'm going to put glue. I knew it was going to try to move on me. Just glue around that inner part of that circle. The thickest part on the right side. And then I'm going to lay this on top and match up the holes. And now you have a 3D wagon wheel. Okay? All right. So to put the wagon wheel onto the wagon is a little bit tedious. You have this real skinny brown piece, which is like your axle. So it really should go through the wheel, and then it gets connected. It goes in those little holes. So you can put the wagon on its wheel, or put the wheel on the axle, and then try to stick that axle in the holes, which I kind of found somewhat difficult, not terrible. It would be something like that. Okay. What I chose to do was to glue my axle in first, and then I cut it and put my wheel on it. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So on the back of these, on the back of the bottom hole, I'm going to put a little bit of glue, just a little. And I'm going to come in. You can either come this way and pull it all the way through, or I'm going to come through the back. And I'm going to line it up over here. So I just want to see a little bit of it like that. And I'm going to, oops, I'm going to press that in. So now this piece is on there. So you could actually leave it like that, might be easy too. Let's try that. So the axle's on just this front part right here. So now your wheel, you want that wider side out in front. Otherwise it looks funny if it looks like your wheel's on crooked if you don't. So you want the wider side still facing to the right, and you can put it on to the axle. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little glue right here and a little on the back, and I'm going to stick that through that hole. And when I flatten it, it came through the back. I don't know if you can see it with the glue. And now my wheel is on there. Okay? So the way in class we did it, we glued the axle on first. We cut the axle towards the back, slid our wheel on, and nobody's going to know. But that may have been, either way, it's a little bit tedious, but you'll figure it out. So now our wheel's on there, and it's free moving until I put it down where I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and put my wagon down now. So nothing's popped up. You certainly could if you wanted. And I'm going to wait and put glue on my wheel once I get this where I want it. So right here in the center, looks good. I'll stick that down, and then what I'll do is just add some glue to the back of the wheel and stick that down. A little bit right there. Too much glue. All right. So there's my wheelbarrow. And now we're going to add the other details. So I have this greenery piece, which I think I trimmed because it's kind of long. So I'm just going to trim off that little berry and the stem and just have that piece. And we have our little squash here. I'm going to put some foam on the back of that. And then I'm going to kind of use that as a guide. So I want that there and this coming from behind it. Like so. All right, and then our sunflowers. So you have 3. Let's go ahead and put the centers in them. And then I need, what did I do with my tool? So I'm going to pick up one. There, here's the other, and here it is. All right, so I want that to move a little bit more. There we go. So there's my 3 sunflowers. So one I have up here, and the other 2 I have down here with the little squash. So let's put some glue on the back. This one I have kind of tucked behind, and and the other one is kind of hanging off. So I'm just going to pick a couple like so. And this one I also have popped up, so I'm going to foam square behind, and then let's not forget our last two little pieces. We have this little squiggle, which you can just, let's see, since mine are arranged a little different. I have this little leaf in the squiggle. I had it on this pumpkin, but I may actually choose this one this time, just to get a similar look. Let's see. I'm just going to put the sunflower right there, and I might even just have it coming out of the put some glue on the back of this. I use this leaf as the leaf for a sunflower, but you could certainly use it as a pumpkin leaf too. I'm going to cut off some of that twirl. And tuck it in there like that. And a little glue to hold it in place. There we go. All right, so there is that card finished, a note of thanks. All right, we have one more card, many thanks. So let's go ahead and start with the coloring and inking on this one. So you don't need the 4 pieces of pattern paper. Let's bring back that silicone. All right, let's do the green. I'm going to use some mowed lawn. I'm actually just going to use whatever's left on my dauber. I don't want it to be too dark. All right, and then I think I used a little brown as well. So just a little. All right, there's those. And then you should have 2 dark sunflowers, and I'm going to use the brown on those. I'm just going to do the tips. And then you should have, let me find them, you should have 3 flower centers. You have a large one and 2 small. So of the 2 small, there's one that's more round. I'm going to leave that one with that. Let's use one of these and just pick one of the smaller ones and make completely brown. And then the other 2, we're going to kind of add brown and yellow. So let's take the yellow, and we're going to cover the whole surface of both with the yellow. And then also, while you have the yellow out, you have this other small cream flower. Let's color that one yellow too. Fossilized amber. Okay. And I'm going to use a little like eye makeup sponge, whoops, with the brown, and I'm just gonna go right in the center of each one, like so. Okay, a little bit around to kind of blend that out. All right, so those 2 all the centers are done. And then you have these two lighter pink sunflowers. We're going to go back to the Victorian velvet on those and just get the edges. All right. And then you have the green little berry looking flowers. So I'm just going to add some darker green and some brown. And then for these, I did add green to the bottom, or you could just leave it. It's up to you. It's a small detail, and this is how I did it. I picked up the berry, and then I'm just going to add some to the bottom. So it's a very small detail, and if you don't want to do it, I totally get it. And then you're going to glue it on. I'm just going to do each one just like that. And these little berries kind of have a divot on one side, kind of looks like a little cherry. That goes at the top so you can see that little bit of green poke out. So let me get those done. All right, last little berry here. All right. So we have all that done. Let's go ahead and ink up our paper, and then we can put the card together. All right, before I ink, let's talk about the paper. All right, so really it's all the same paper, and it should match up like a puzzle. So you could try to figure out where it all goes. And if you don't like this orange, you could just do it like this and have all that pattern showing. I think it would be very pretty as well. Or if you do like the orange, then what you'll do is just flip them like so. Or maybe you want to flip these instead. However you want to do it, okay? I'll just do it like I made the original card. Once you get the sides you want to go ahead and ink the edges. All right, I also inked the edge of my card base. I think I'm just going to wait and do that when my card's put together. And your little sentiment, I'm going to cut a banner. So I'm just going to find the center, cut up the middle, and then corner to middle, corner to middle, and then I'm just going to ink that. Oops, too much. There we go. All right. So I'm going to start by putting these papers down. And it should have a nice even border. All right, so I have my pattern papers on, and so now we're going to layer up all these flowers. So what we're going to do is I'm going to keep the dark on the bottom and the light on the top, and I'm just going to offset the petals. Go. Oh, and then it slid on me. Of course it did. It's kind of hard because I can't see what I'm doing. Let's try it one more time before it dries. All right. So offset the petals. Works better when you can see it. There we go. So there's that one, and then that large center is going to go in there, like so. And then I will do the same with the smaller one. Offset. Okay. Let's put the center on. And then you have this single yellow flower and the brown center, so I'll do that. All right, now we're ready to put our card together. So what we're gonna do is take these stems, and right here where those four corners meet, I'm gonna do them just like this. So I'm just gonna, now you could certainly use the press and seal here if you wanted to. They're gonna look like that. And then this flower, if you wanted, you could also, I kind of forgot if you wanted to shape it a little. Now that it's put together, I'm just gonna flip it over and kind of get those going that way, and then I'll do a little circle, and that brings it to life. It's not so flat. All right, so one goes there, it's gonna go there, and this little bit, so we get tucked in behind. I did pop up this big flower here. I'm just kind of using them as a guide right now to get this where I want it. I'm going to put a foam square on the back of that. I can put that down. And then this one I'll glue straight down. It's going to kind of get tucked back in there. And same for this one. All right, and then we'll finish with the sentiment. So it's going to fit right in there. You can kind of tuck it in if you wanted. You could have it kind of, if you didn't want everything so symmetrical, you could kind of have it like a more like a tag, which I think I'm going to do this time. Just going to go in and tuck it like so. All right. And that card is finished. All right, that completes our video for today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this kit. If you're looking for a kit, you can find us on the web at www.frommomentstomilstones.com, and you can search for our card kits there. This is the Graphic 45 Hello Pumpkin. See you soon.